like hypothesize about, but it doesn't really have any feet to stand on besides it just being like a theory. However, this next knowledge nugget has a little bit more depth to it. So some suggest that Lisa Lam was a guinea pig used by the government or some pharmaceutical company for a trial of a tuberculosis test, which uses an enzyme-linked immunosorbent assay called Lam-ELISA. That is weird. That is weird, yeah. And to add more strangeness to this theory, is that the same time Lisa Lam was there staying at the hotel, at the Cecil Hotel, there was a huge tuberculosis outbreak on Skid Row, which spread to downtown Los Angeles. And another thing that's worth mentioning is that a common antibiotic used in the treatment of tuberculosis patients is isoniazid, which has side effects of abnormal behavior and confusion, which may account for her erratic behavior in the hotel and elevator and jumping in the water thing.
Getting your butthole sucked out.
Oh my God. All right, so which is last theory?
The last theory for this Elisa Lam case is that she fell victim to the Korean elevator game, wherein she traveled through a portal via the elevator into a parallel dimension. To play this game, one must use an elevator in a building at least 10 stories high. Press a series of buttons, which if you watch, she did more than once, according to the given instructions, and one may find oneself in the other world. Some things to note. When you reach the 5th floor, a young woman may enter the elevator. You are instructed not to speak to her or even look at her. She is not what she seems. Did Lam look at and talk to this so-called woman? Is this what caused her ass to be thrown into the water tank?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Possible.
I like to think of the tuberculosis outbreak. Or maybe, she was just bipolar and she went manic. I don't know. Maybe that's why her parents were so protective of her, is that they knew that, hey, in her early days, in her early years, she was not mentally stable. But maybe she was able to cover it up good with her medication. And when she went out on her own, she stopped taking them. And that's what caused her to become this maniac. And maybe a combination of that and people at the hotel were fucking with her. All right, so let's hop into some strange facts and findings. So Dan, what's this first strange fact and finding we got?
Our first strange fact and finding is about the 2005 horror film called Dark Water. So this movie stars Jennifer Connelly as Dahlia, who moves into a rundown apartment with her daughter named Cecilia. In the apartment, putrid water runs from the faucet, and there's even a malfunctioning elevator there. Later, they discover the body of a missing girl inside of the water tank on the top of the building. Now, what makes this strange is that the movie happened in 2005, and the Elisa Lam case happened in 2013. Also, the main character's name is Dahlia. Maybe that is a reference to the Black Dahlia?
That is very odd because the exact same thing happened to Elisa Lam, right? Water tank on top of the building. Her body was inside there, putrid waters.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go on to our next strange fact and finding, which is about another hotel. So after some research, we came across some interesting information. The Cecil Hotel had a double, and it was located in London. The Cecil Hotel in London was built in 1886 and torn down in 1930. It was built of stone block and red brick, and there was no room for any outcasts. It was, in fact, a luxury hotel accommodating corporate power and the global elite. Now, this hotel was named after Sir Robert Cecil, Earl of Salisbury, and treasurer to James I, who in fact lived on the property itself. The Cecils, it turned out, were the power behind the throne of Queen Elizabeth I and ultimately overlords of the British Empire. The hotel had its own built in Masonic hall, and it was a favorite meeting place for many Freemasons in the London area.
When it says Earl of Salisbury, does that include the stakes too?
I don't know. I always think of like Salisbury, Massachusetts,
That too.
and Salisbury steaks. That's probably my second thing.
I love Salisbury steaks. They're so not good for you. To add to this strangeness, in 1898, Aleister Crowley lived at the Cecil Hotel in London. It was during his stay there at the Cecil Hotel that Crowley was introduced to George Cecil Jones, who was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Through Jones, Crowley was introduced to the Book of the Sacred Magic of the Mage. Also, that same time while Aleister was staying